What is going on, guys? Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. I'm, as always, your grateful host, Cam Williamson, and we are back with you. Look, if you are following my channel newly because of my coverage of the Johnny Depp trial, I appreciate you so much. They are on a 10-day break. So, the last thing that I will say, really, until they come back, unless I find a way to make some time to create an in-depth analysis video of all the testimony we've seen with evidence and how that conflicts with what Amber Heard has said so far, which I truly believe it has, I today am going to leave you with what I think is important, which is, and a lot of people are talking about it, the relationship that Amber Heard had with James Franco. She claims a lot that Johnny Depp was falsely accusing her of cheating on him. Well, they have video, which I will play right now, of Amber Heard and James Franco, which there's a key moment for people that go, oh, you can't tell it's James Franco. There's a key moment when he turns and his face is kind of upward like this as she's starting to scoot closer to him in an elevator where they start to kind of snuggle up. And then right before they get off the elevator, they both kind of lay their heads down on one another. So this is, yes, they are celebrities, and you notice he's wearing a hat, like a very generic kind of hat that's pulled down like this, and she's in her own dwelling, so she's not covering her face, but James Franco's got this, like, whatever movie that was, 127 Hours backpack on, and he's obviously trying to be a little inconspicuous. That's why he's got his hat down like this, and he intentionally kind of keeps his back to the camera, almost as if he was notified as to where they were. She kept her hair kind of over her face. Again, they're in Johnny Depp's building. So to say that they didn't cheat, and also this happened like the day or the night of a fight after Johnny Depp took off, she invites the co-host of her movie over for emotional support when her and her boyfriend are fighting. Hey, miss me again with all your bullshit. Because again, been with women who during disagreements find this as an okay time to consider a fight, a pause, and go entertain the company of other men to see how that fits their fancy. And then there's always a discrepancy of how far that hang went. Did they simply hang? Was there alcohol involved? Oh, there was. Did they kiss you? Oh, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. Okay. Oh, they did. Oh, you made out. Oh, and it always gets very slippery. And then it turns into, well, it wasn't my fault it went that far. I invited them over as a friend. He made a move on me. She tried to imply that about Johnny Depp, that by bringing alcohol over and just being around, this implies he's trying to make a move, but in James Franco's situation, perfectly okay. Well, let's move on to the big topic of conversation, especially in the comedy world. Dave Chappelle got tackled on stage while he was doing this big soiree event. I believe it was a Netflix comedy special, or it was some kind of comedy festival, I think, because when I listened to Bill Burr's podcast and he was talking about it, he was talking in the first person like he was there, and he was also simultaneously talking about a comedy festival. So it was in LA. It sounded like Chappelle was wrapping up for the night, and he was talking about one of the producers that was behind him that was currently helping DJ the event he was doing, and he was like, all right, before I get out of here, and in hindsight, you see the video, a guy starts climbing up out of the crowd, seemingly out of the front row, and he kind of stumbles a bit, and then he just kind of stays crouched down and darts at Dave Chappelle, and he kind of attempts to tackle him. Dave Chappelle does a decent job of not being taken down until the end when he's kind of just trying to separate. He kind of spins, and that kind of drops him down, because Dave Chappelle didn't really sprawl, but he kind of controlled him enough that kept him away. So they say that this guy had a makeshift gun. The way they're wording this is weird. They say it was a replica gun, so a replica firearm that shoots knife blades. Not like razor blades, but knife blades. Now, this guy didn't pull this. He didn't fire this thing from the crowd. And he's being charged with a misdemeanor crime. So that narrative, I don't know if I buy so much, because if you had a makeshift gun that shot knife blades, you had to hit him from the crowd. And then going up on stage and wimpily attempting to tackle him, well, that wasn't going to accomplish? What were you going to do? Tackle him and be like, ah, and go like Rambo on him or something? This guy was clearly mentally ill, and he's paying a price. Now, this is an important conversation for mental health. Are mentally ill people often violent? Often, no. Can they become violent if radicalized? Yes. There's some rumors and some talks that this may be a trans human advocate of some sort, and Dave has had his controversy with the trans community. I don't know that. And I'm not going to imply that, because I don't believe in sticking the actions of one onto an organization or a group. I don't really even believe in organizations or groups, because in those are individual people who make individual choices at every moment. And sometimes those conflict, and sometimes those are with the group's beliefs. So you have to hold each person accountable for what they do. Is it ironic that this happens after Will Smith slaps Chris Rock, who Chris Rock happened to be there, was in attendance, and even made a joke like, I thought that was Will Smith. I find it ironic that this all happens, and then Dave Chappelle seemingly starts a YouTube channel where he's live for like 24 hours, live streaming, talking about this and other deep political issues. Sure, that to me is odd. Especially with the low level of crimes that this guy was actually ended up charging with. Now, they've showed pictures where this guy got busted up. Like, his arm was completely flamingo-style broken coming out on a stretcher. They said, now, this is what I don't like. Dave Chappelle claimed that him, Busta Rhymes, Jamie Foxx popped out of the crowd in a fucking cowboy hat. That was ironic. And a few others stomped this guy out. Well, no, they didn't. Dave Chappelle's security team stomped him out, and then whoever else joined in that melee that was going on, I would be careful to claim that you were a part of that, because again, he's at an event, there's security hired. Security failed, but they can only do so much, right? With the way a stage is set up, if a guy is going to pop a barrier, he's going to do that without, he's going to have at least a moment where someone's not going to react. Where security was set up on that front barrier and how able this guy was to get to Dave Chappelle, that's a different question. This isn't a Travis Scott incident where we have things getting so wildly out of control that security is losing, control of the situation. This is one isolated individual, and they didn't even have preparation for that. So that's an issue, right? And I think he says that, like, where the fuck were y'all? Y'all are on stage now, but where were y'all before? And he starts immediately making jokes about what was going on. But I would be careful, because he jumps on stage, attempts to tackle Dave Chappelle, and then runs off. Well, he's being chased, really, by a bunch of people. Now, you have to remember, he has committed a crime. He's assaulted him. He hasn't struck him or anything like that. But he's attempted to measly take him down and take off running. You now have 8 to 10 people stomping his ass. So some of those people may be held criminally liable for some of that, because again, how much force does it take? Now, he's wearing a backpack. They don't know. There's a lot of things, but like, people jumping in to be Billy Badass and be like, I'm about to stomp this motherfucker out, and Dave Chappelle turns around and goes, I'm gonna kill that motherfucker. And they're like, okay, understandable on your side. You could say you were in a heat of a passion moment, but security, you're supposed to be prepared for that. You're supposed to have a way. I'm guessing they're going to claim the arm got broken while trying to be detained. It's a popular thing that happens. The whole side of his face being stomped out, that's going to be a hard one to describe. But again, these are not law enforcement officers. And this guy was so far out of the scope of being correct. It's interesting. I would just hate to see someone like Jamie Foxx, Chris Rock, Busta Rhymes end up in court by this fucking seemingly mentally ill person, and he's going, I was subject to damages at the feet and fist of Busta Rhymes, and now Busta Rhymes standing there going, fuck, man, I was just trying to defend my friend. Like, and again, whether he threw a single punch, it's hard to see, because that video is it's hard to see. But, yeah, it's unfortunate. We need to not let the standard be set that it's okay to get on a stage and assault, especially comedians. I don't know if this is just comedians taking a page out of Rogan's book, that being in the headlines is good for business. But I hope that this isn't some false setup thing for headlines, because now Will Smith is in the headlines. And they're talking about, well, Will Smith has one project in the news for Netflix. It's like, yo, who cares? They're talking about he's in therapy since the slap. Good, you should be in therapy. But now we're simultaneously talking about Dave Chappelle gets tackled. Come on. Security, do better. And with that, guys, I hope you've already thumbs up the video. Subscribe if you like the content that I'm putting out, and hit the bell if you want to see it as soon as it goes live. I just put up a video today. Chris DiStefano, Special Weshy, stand-up comedy special review. His new Netflix special is out. I put out Brendan Schaub, Gringo Poppy's YouTube special review. That was a couple days ago, and I've been covering the Johnny Depp trial throughout. So if you guys want to see any of that, go follow any of the videos that I've posted since. I love you so much. We'll see you soon.